Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney. I am one of the prospective student recruiters for the Faculty of Science, and I myself have a Bachelor of Science degree in Psychology and Biological Sciences. So today we're going to be going over how to plan your degree and where to find your program requirements, as well as some tips and tricks for building your schedule in BearTracks. And then I'll give a brief registration demo in BearTracks. However, we do have many tutorial videos already created on how to navigate BearTracks. So I suggest that you check those out at uab.ca/reg101 if you're feeling a little bit lost on how to use the platform. I first wanted to define the difference between a Bachelor of Science general, specialization, and honors. Just to clarify, so a general degree has two main areas of study. So that's your major and your minor. You do have lots of room for electives as well. If you choose to do a double major, it would just reduce the amount of electives that you have available to you. Specialization degree is one main area of study plus lots of electives. Honors program is also one main area of study. You have a little bit less electives in this program because you have an added research component that is built right in. You can do research in all of the different degree types, which is optional. It's just that with the honors, it's a built-in requirement as part of your program. Most degrees are going to require 120 units, which you might see referred to as credits, and that can be completed within 4 years. Most classes are 3 units and they run for 1 semester. So either fall semester, which is September to December, or winter semester, which is January to April. So full year classes are 6 units and they would run from September all the way to April. Most of your classes, though, will be 3 units, which will just run for 1 semester. To graduate within 4 years, that would mean that you would be taking 15 units per fall winter semester. That's 5 classes a semester for a total of 10 classes in a year. You can take a reduced course load if you want. So reduced course load of 4 courses or 3 courses a semester, you are still considered a full-time student, but this will just extend the length of your degree by a little bit. And you'll notice that there's no spring or summer terms in this diagram, and that's because they are not required. You can still take courses in the spring and summer. So for example, if you chose to reduce your course load in the fall or winter, you can maybe make up that class in the spring or summer, and you'd still be on track to graduate in 4 years. Keeping in mind, though, that not all classes are offered in the spring and summer. The professor speaks about various topics. Is this a seminar, a lecture, or a lab? I'll pause for a second. This is a lecture. All courses have a lecture component where students take notes and are learning the bulk of their course content. Class sizes can range from 30 seats to 350 seats, but they do typically get smaller in higher years and as your courses get more specialized. So don't panic about being in a class of 300. You're going to be sitting there taking notes as a professor talks for about an hour, hour and a half. You can ask questions if you want. If you're not comfortable asking questions, professors always have dedicated office hours to help out with that, so don't worry. Next one, the hands-on component of a course is a lab. So this is where you get to apply the knowledge that you learned during the lecture portion. And depending on the course, it might involve creating a chemical compound, extracting DNA from a worm, using coding software, collecting soil samples, lots of different opportunities depending on the type of course that you're in and the type of lab that is offered. In psychology labs, this is where you actually get to be a participant in a real psychology study at the U of A. And labs will take about 1 to 3 hour time blocks in your schedule, and they have 20 to 25 seats depending on the course. Not all courses have a lab component, and I'll show you where to look for to see if there is a lab or not. So the last definition, the class type that is based on discussion, project work, or shared assignments, then must be a seminar. Most courses do not have a seminar. And if they do, they usually have about 30 to 50 seats. So how do I know if your course has one of these components? When you're browsing the course catalog, you might see 3 numbers separated by dashes beside each course, such as this example, which would be 3-0-3. These correspond to approved class time hours. So in this example, you would be taking 3 hours a week of lecture time, 0 hours of seminar, and 3 hours a week of lab time. So if it were to say 3-0-0, that would mean that you're only doing 3 hours of lecture. If you see something with a slash, so you might see this for your psychology labs, your psychology lab might say 3-0-1/4. So in that case, that would mean you have 1 hour of lab every 4 weeks. When it comes to degree requirements, these will vary by program. The 3 main links that we recommend that you either star or favorite in your web browser, especially during the course registration process, is uab.ca/calendar, apps.ualberta.ca/catalog, and uab.ca/sci-year1. So you can pause the video here to enter in all of these links into your web browser because we're going to go through these individually for a demo. So the first link that we're going to navigate to is the university calendar, uab.ca/calendar. And you always may want to make sure that the calendar selected up here is the year that you were admitted. So you're always going to have to refer back to the calendar for your degree requirements in the year that you were admitted. We're going to scroll down to undergraduate programs, Faculty of Science. And these are the main links that you're going to refer to when you are looking for your degree requirements and what courses you should be registering for. We're going to start with Bachelor of Science specialization. And all this information up here, this is all of your degree requirements for the full 4 years in order to graduate. So it goes into detail on the minimum and maximum of certain course types that you should have, what faculties they should be coming from, maximum junior level courses, which are 100 level courses. So I really recommend that you read this information at some point during your degree. It doesn't have to be right now during the course registration process, but it is important to read. We're going to scroll down to specialization in computing science as an example. All right, so it gives you a little bit more information at the top here just about the specialization in computing science specifically. So specialization and honors programs, everything is really nicely laid out for you by year 1, year 2, 3, 4 on the courses that you will be taking. You do not have to stick to these exactly. So for example, if you wanted to not take one of your English courses in year 1 and you wanted to take one of your year 2 courses that is listed down here, such as Math 125, you can put that into your first year instead. That is totally fine, but we do recommend that you start with the courses that are listed in year 1 because those are going to be foundational prerequisite courses for higher level courses going up. So in this example here, in year 1, you would be taking 6 units of junior English, junior being 100 level, 6 units meaning 2 courses. Or you can take 3 units in junior English and 3 units in junior writing studies. So 1 course of each. Then you would choose 3 units, so 1 course out of these different math courses here, 1 course out of these ones here. You do have 12 units of options as well. And I will go into detail a little bit later about what constitutes as an option. If there are any notes here or recommendations from the department, I would highly recommend reading those and following the recommendations that they have. So we're going to navigate back, look at a Bachelor of Science honors. So let's scroll down. Same thing, all the information up here about your program and the requirements to graduate. Let's choose astrophysics. So in this example here, for year 1, it says 6 units in science options, and these are the science options that are recommended, plus 6 units in arts options. And again, I'll show you where to find those different types of options in just a minute. Bachelor of Science General. Again, we're going to scroll down till we get to the courses. So in the general program, you have general program core courses. So these are courses that all general students will need to take at some point during their degree, in addition to their major and minor and electives. So foundational courses. So in this case, similar to the example I showed before in specialization, where you can choose 6 units from English or 3 units from English and Writing Studies. Then you choose 6 units, so 2 courses, from courses offered by the Department of Computing Science and Mathematical and Statistical Sciences. So any of these courses here, you can choose 2. 6 units from these courses listed here, and 6 units from these courses listed here. If you want to take more than just 2 of the courses that are listed in these requirements, you can certainly do so. Those would go towards your degree as elective courses or option courses, if they're not already incorporated into your major or your minor. So we'll scroll down a little bit to find your majors and your minors. We'll open up Biological Sciences major, and you'll see that there's not a whole lot of information here for specific courses that you have to take. There will be some that are listed, but for the most part, you'll be given parameters of you need to take a certain amount of units at the 200, 300, or 400 level. So that gives you a lot of flexibility as to what courses that you can take. So now I will show you the course catalog. So this is that longer link at apps.ualberta.ca/catalog. So this will be very, very helpful to help you figure out what courses that you want to take as part of your degree before you even go into Bear Tracks to search for them. So in the example that we just have for biology courses, so that later on in your degree, you have to take X amount at the 200, 300, 400 level, you would navigate to Faculty of Science, Biology, and here are all of your potential biology courses that you can take. So what I suggest is that you look at some of the higher level courses that you really want to take first, look at those prerequisites, and then work backwards. So for example, Biology 310, Biology of Aging, the prerequisites are Biology 201 or one of these zoology courses. So then you would navigate to Bio 201. Okay, Bio 201, see what the prerequisites for this one are. It's Bio 107. So then I would suggest enrolling in Bio 107 first so that you can meet the requirements for all of those higher level courses that you want to take later on. What is a science or an arts option, or an approved option, or an open option? You'll see different terms in the calendar depending on your program, or depending on the year in your program that you are at. So when it says a science option, you would go to Faculty of Science, and it would be any course from any of these different science disciplines, as long as you have the prerequisite, of course. If your program requirement says arts options, you would go to Faculty of Arts over here. And this gives you a big long list of different subject areas that you can choose your courses from. Again, as long as you have the prerequisites for it. If something says you have an open option and there is no notes beside it in the program requirements, that means that you can choose a course from any of these different faculties. So Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Science, Native Studies, Faculty of Agriculture, Life and Environmental Sciences. Again, as long as you have a prerequisite, you can take that course as an open option. If something says approved option, Faculty of Science and Faculty of Arts courses are already considered approved. So you don't have to get those approved by an advisor if you're registering for an arts or a science option under your section in the calendar that says approved option. So let's go back to Faculty of Science course. We'll go to Biology 107 as a good example. So you see here the 3-0-3. This would mean you have 3 hours of lecture per week, 0 hours of seminar, and 3 hours of lab a week. So you click on that, find your semester, and these are the different lectures and labs that are offered for that specific term. So this is why I find the course catalog much easier to navigate than Bear Tracks when you're trying to figure out what courses and what course times you want, because Bear Tracks is going to show you a combination of every single lab and lecture, including ones that overlap. Unfortunately, it's just a limitation of the system. So course catalog is much easier because you can see exactly how many lectures are offered, which time slot works best for me, and then what are all the labs that are offered, which time slot works best for me. So you can see here lecture A2 of Bio 107 is offered Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 o'clock to 1:50. This is the room number and this is the instructor. If there's no room number and no instructor at this time, it will be added later in the summer. And I wanted to note the Bachelor of Science, Bachelor Education combined degree. So you can also find your requirements in the calendar in the links that I had shown you, uab.ca/calendar. You want to find your specific major and minor, and you can see that it is laid out for you year by year as well. These students, we do strongly recommend that you follow the year planning that is for this program, because this program is a lot more structured in order for you to graduate with 2 degrees in 5 years. And you'll see at the top there that the amount of units for your whole program is 150 instead of 120. And again, that's because you're graduating with 2 degrees in 5 years. And what about those of you who are currently thinking about applying to a professional program later on? The professional programs listed here at the U of A require some form of pre-professional study before you can apply to them, whether that be 1 to 2 years of specific courses or a full 4-year degree. And you can refer to the professional program tip sheets at the bottom of uab.ca/reg101 webpage. And this will give you a really good place to start so that you know what courses you should be registering in while you're still in the Faculty of Science program and whether it's required to have a full course load. The tip sheets will also show you GPA requirements and additional admission requirements, such as reference letters and specialized test scores. Law and medicine at the U of A require a full 4-year degree to be completed first, but no specific courses and no specific degree type. This is a common misconception. So we say to take your first degree in a program that truly interests you, because admission will be based on GPA plus some other factors, but they will not factor in what program you came from. For other professional programs that require 1 to 2 years of pre-professional courses first, we want you to try and follow both the professional program requirements and your current program requirements. And this will be pretty easy to do since most of the required pre-professional courses are science-based and will either already be part of your Faculty of Science program or can be added easily as option courses. And doing this acts as a backup plan just in case you're not accepted to the professional program on the first try. Science course tips. So we want you to create a balanced schedule, and a balanced schedule will have 2 to 3 labs per term. And 2 to 3 is recommended to be able to manage lab assignments and exams in addition to your regular coursework. So more than 3 labs would be quite a heavy schedule. There are some honors programs that may require 3 or more, but that's just the nature of that program. And labs typically start in the second week of classes, but this will be confirmed when you receive your course syllabus from your instructor later in the summer. Prerequisites. Do not register for a course if you do not have the prerequisite. Students without the appropriate prerequisites will be removed from the course. So make sure that you read the course description before you register. So for example, Chemistry 101 is a prerequisite for Chem 102. So you must take Chem 101 first. Co-requisites. Co-requisite is required either before or at the same time. So for example, if you are registering for Physics 146, you must take Math 146 either in the prior semester or in the same semester, as it is a co-requisite. 100 level calculus courses. So you may see in your program requirements or listed on the science website, Math 114 or Math 115 as requirements for your program. However, those specific course numbers no longer exist. The Department of Mathematics and Statistical Sciences has actually decided to create first-year calculus variations to make the content more relevant and interesting for your area of study. So all 3 of them, Math 134, 144, and 154, are all considered equivalent. It's more so the examples and the assignments that are used that will vary by topic. So for example, calculus for life sciences will be more geared towards the biology side of things, whereas calculus for physical sciences has more examples on chemistry, related to chemistry and physics. Just because you're majoring in biology, though, for example, does not mean that you have to take Math 134. If you're interested in the business and economic side of things, you can definitely take 154 instead, because they are considered equivalent. What counts as a science option, an arts option, an approved option, or an open option? So I did go through this a little bit when I showed you the course catalog and how to choose the different faculties. So if in your program requirements, it lists a science option, you would choose any faculty of science course. If it's an arts option, any faculty of arts course, and an approved option, anything from science or arts is considered approved. If it is an open option, or if it doesn't specify in your requirements as to whether it's science, arts, or approved, then that would mean you can choose courses from any faculty. You can change up your schedule and take a science MOOC, which is a massive open online course. These courses are self-paced, and some of them you can even take for credit towards your degree, but not until after September when your program officially begins. So you don't want to take these courses ahead of time in the summer before you actually start at the U of A, because you won't get credit for those. It's only after September. AP and IB students. So if you achieve a final grade of 4 or higher in AP or 6 or higher in IB, you will automatically be granted transfer credit for that specific course. So credit will either be for a specific course, so for example, Biology 107, or it might be for an unspecified 100 level class. So let's say English 1XX, which would mean any 100 level English class it would count for. And this means then that you have the option to not take that course in university. And the list of eligible courses can be found at uab.ca/AP and uab.ca/IB. And if you're unsure of whether you will score high enough to earn the credit, still add that class to your BearTrack schedule. For the results of your transfer credits will not be posted to BearTracks until later in the summer. So once you know for sure that you have earned the transfer credit for a specific course, you can then remove that class from your schedule and add something else. You will also not be assigned a specific letter grade on your transcript for these courses, but you will see that you have received credit. And while we encourage students to retain the transfer credit they have earned, you do have the option to decline it. And more information on how to decline the credits can be found at the provided links, uab.ca/AP or /IB. And you want to ask yourself some questions. If you were to decline the credit and took the course again at the U of A, how likely would you be to get an A? Or if you accept the credit and don't need to take that class anymore, do you want to leave that slot open in your schedule to have a lighter course load, or do you want to maybe fill it with an interesting option course? Accepting the credits would mean that your overall degree would maybe cost less, since you wouldn't need to take those courses and pay tuition since you've already received credit for them. But the choice is completely up to you. When creating a timetable, it's important to ask yourself a couple questions. What prerequisite classes do I need to take first? By enrolling in these classes in first year, it means that you can then go right into those higher level courses next year. And by following the junior core requirements for the general program or the courses that are listed under year 1 for specialization and honors programs in the calendar, this shouldn't be a problem. You also want to think about which classes have the fewest offerings or the fewest seats, because those ones will fill up more quickly. You want to enroll in those classes first and then build your schedule around them. Do you need to allow time to commute to campus, or are you just not a morning person? 8 a.m. classes do mean 8 a.m. midterms. Personally, I preferred morning classes so that I could finish my days sooner, but it is totally up to you as to what you want your schedule to look like. You will also want to make sure that you are registering for classes at the right campus. Any course that starts with the letters AU is offered at Augustana campus in Camrose, Alberta, not at North Campus. Bear Tracks will likely restrict you from registering in those courses since you're not registered in an Augustana program, but just something to be aware of when you're searching for courses. One other detail is to check the language of instruction. So if you're not able to read the course description or the course name because it's in French, that means that it is a French course taught at our French campus, Campus Saint-Jean. What buildings are your classes in? There will always be a 10-minute break between classes so that you can get from one to the next. So don't worry too much if you have classes that are back-to-back in your schedule. And I know this map looks really small and you may not be able to read the buildings, but I wanted you to see the whole campus for context so that I can give you an example. It wouldn't be ideal to have back-to-back classes if your one class is in biological sciences building at the top star, and then the next class right after is in either the ECA building or medical science building at the bottom 2 stars. This distance is about a 15-minute walk, so it would make you late if you had any exams and these courses back to back. But if you had a bigger time gap in between them, that would be no problem. You probably won't run into this in first year, and it's more so for honors and specialization students who are taking health-related classes, but just something to be aware of. The majority of your classes will be clustered at the top there, so no need to stress about getting to them on time. It would only be a couple minutes between them. Plus, the 4 stars that are in a line there, those buildings are actually connected, so there's no need to even go outside in the winter if your classes are in those buildings. Now that you have some tips and tricks on building your timetable and schedule, I want to show you how to register in classes in Bear Tracks. If you're not familiar with Bear Tracks, I would suggest watching the tutorial videos that we have first before trying to play around and add your classes in there. Bear Tracks is an online portal that is going to give you access to almost everything involved in your university career, whether that's searching for classes, planning your timetable, enrolling, adding, dropping, swapping classes, and then eventually checking your grades and paying your tuition. And it's important to understand that in Bear Tracks, you will have a shopping cart, a validation step, and then a final schedule. Your shopping cart is your draft timetable of all of the class times that you want for that semester, but you are not actually enrolled in those classes yet. After adding all of your courses that you want to your shopping cart, you then click the Validate button for each one. Validating ensures that you have the appropriate prerequisites and that the class doesn't overlap with other classes in your shopping cart. You may not be able to validate your winter classes quite yet because you technically have not taken the fall semester prerequisite. Once your enrollment date comes on April the 4th, you must then go into your shopping cart, click the Enroll button for each class. Once you are enrolled, only then do you officially have a seat in that class. So don't leave your courses sitting in your shopping cart. They will not be registered for you automatically. You have to go in and enroll. So BearTracks will look like this, and this is at uab.ca/BearTracks. You want to select the single sign-in, not the guest. You would enter your CCID and password. Your CCID is that beginning part of your UAlberta email before the @ symbol, and your password should be the same as your Launchpad. This will then bring you to your BearTracks homepage, which will look similar to this slide here. And all the tools that we will be using can be found in the Manage Classes section in the top left. For those of you who accepted offers to 2 different programs, you do need to make a decision at this point as to which program you are going ahead with. This can be done in BearTracks under Manage Classes, Change Program, which will be on the far left-hand side. Select the term that you have been admitted to, so most likely fall, and then you choose the new program. If you're watching this video after your enrollment date and after you have already added classes to your schedule for a specific program, and then you maybe get an offer to your other program that you were waiting for, it's very important to drop all of the classes from your first program you were accepted to before changing programs. So now we're actually going to go into BearTracks. So as I said, we do already have tutorial videos on how to navigate BearTracks, but I do want to show you some really important pieces before you get in there. So once you have logged into your BearTracks and you go to the Manage Classes tile, it will automatically take you to the Class Search and Enroll function here. You can see here that I have a semester already chosen, which is fall term 2023. If you want to change that to a different term, you can just click the button here. So this is where the course catalog comes in handy. So back at the apps.ualberta.ca/catalog. So let's say we're going to go to Faculty of Science. And I want to add this biology course, Biology 107, fall 2023, and it'll jump down to here. And again, I said that BearTracks can look a little bit overwhelming because it shows you every single combination of lecture and lab. What I find is easiest is, let's say I want this specific lecture. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 o'clock to 1:50. I can highlight this course number here, copy that, put it right into my BearTracks search, and then it will come up with only the options of lecture lab combinations with that specific lecture instead of everything. So from there, you would click on the class, and now it will show you only that lecture time and then all of the different lab combinations. So from there, you would then choose a lab time that doesn't overlap with that lecture. Something really important is always read the class notes. So in here, for example, in order to take Bio 107, the prerequisites are Biology 30 and Chemistry 30. So grade 12, biology and chemistry. If you do not have those, you won't be able to register for this course. Also very important, under the class column, if you click on the class number, it will open up additional information if this is not already in the course description. So in this case, under the class notes, you can see that it's restricted to students in the Faculty of Science or in another program such as the Faculty of AILS that does require Bio 107 as part of that specific program, those students are given priority. And other students that are not in the Faculty of Science can register starting August 17th. So we do receive a lot of emails about students saying, I'm not able to register, it says it's restricted. Please go back to that class section here, click on that and open to see what the restrictions are. If you're restricted, there's usually a specific reason for that. I'm going to show you an example of another course restriction that you might come across, and that is for introductory English classes. So for example, I'm going to open up English 199. Right away is a flag that says English for engineering students. You are a Faculty of Science student, so already you should think, maybe this one I can't register for. You can read the course description, and it says right there, restricted to students in the Faculty of Engineering only. And then if I scroll down and click on the actual class itself, it will then give additional restriction information, and again, only for engineering students. So this is a really important section to always be aware of if you are getting those error messages when you go to enroll in a course that says it's restricted to a certain student group. So your Bear Tracks will actually have buttons that show you enroll or cart beside each course. So this is where you would add it to your shopping cart or actually go to enroll in that specific combination of classes. We can see here that English 102 was added to the shopping cart as an example. And this is, again, a great way to create your draft schedule and prepare ahead of your enrollment date. Once in your shopping cart, you will select a class, scroll to the bottom and click validate to ensure that there's no conflicts, and then click enroll. If you come up with a validation error, maybe try clicking enroll to see if you can bypass that validation. Sometimes that will work instead. Once you click enroll, the next step is just to confirm the details regarding the class that you want to register in. Click yes. When you see that green check mark, that means that you are officially enrolled in that class. If it's coming up with a red X and says that there's a restriction, again, please make sure to go back to the class description, click on that green hyperlink of the class to see what that restriction is. If it's restricted to you, it's probably for a good reason. So you may also look at the classes that you've added to your shopping cart in a calendar view like this by clicking Open Your Draft Schedule in a new tab. Some final reminders. April 4th is when course registration opens for students who are new to the U of A. April 30th is the deadline to apply for a guaranteed spot in residence at uab.ca/residence. June 15th is the deadline to submit any outstanding documents such as transcripts or English language proficiency. This deadline date is for transfer students who have taken post-secondary elsewhere. August 1st is the deadline for high school students to submit their documents. End of August, we will have orientation, which has not yet been scheduled. Stay tuned to your U Alberta email. And September the 5th is the first day of classes for fall 2023 at our website, uab.ca/reg101, or science-specific resources at uab.ca/sci-year1. Or you can email us at science.recruiting@ualberta.ca. And if after going through all of these resources and you're still feeling stuck, you can schedule a virtual advising session at uab.ca/advising. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in September.